Our first guest tonight is a professionally and personally very funny man with a lot of kids and a lot of comedy specials, too. His 11th special is called The Skinny. It premieres tomorrow on Hulu. Please welcome Jim Gaffigan. Well, we should have... You know, we should have...
They like me.
See, well, you look great, by the way.
Thank you.
And
Thank
your
you
special is very, very funny. I enjoyed watching it this weekend.
Thanks so much.
And I'm sure people are talking about your appearance all the time, everywhere you go.
Yeah, it's. I have lost some weight, and I've done it the old-fashioned way, which is sticking a shot in my stomach. There has been no effort, no self-control, no sweating. It's the most American thing you could do. Stick some of that Big Pharma right in and look better in the morning.
It is funny how reluctant everyone was to take the COVID shot, and yet this, boy, they should have just...
Well, I love how people are like all secretive about it. Like they don't. It's like, what's the big deal? It's like, I'm embarrassed to admit I'm taking something that's going to allow me to live longer. What's the big deal? It's now my knees don't hurt, and I don't have diabetes. What's the negative?
That is good. And your old clothes, I know you talk about your clothing a little bit in this special, but did you find a chubby friend to gift them to?
I have no expectation of keeping this weight off. Not only because I'm American, I assume that this appetite suppressant thing will stop working or I'll grow a tail. So, I'm holding on to those clothes. I have a feeling I'll be fat again. Maybe.
Yeah, it always looms. That's the thing about it. So you can't just freeze at that moment where you're like, okay, I'm good here. It's like, it doesn't matter. In 6 months, it could be bad again.
Yeah, I try to explain it to my wife. Men never change. Right?
That's true, yeah. You have a great billboard on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, I love it.
Have you driven by that?
I saw it. Well, Hulu's really supporting this special, so I'm very excited. And
they're doing one comedy special every month.
Yes.
I was also thinking about it today. 11 comedy specials. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of comedy specials.
I mean, if only my dad had loved me. No, but I love the process of, doing stand-up and being away from my family. I love all of that. And so it's weird because, when we were growing up, people didn't, like Carlin did specials, but that was about it. So now it's pretty standard for, comedians to put out material every year or two. So
yeah,
great.
And you do it, and yours are always really good. It never seems like you're mailing it in. And by the way, you were very funny as Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live, which had to be, I think had you done anything like that where you'd been imitating someone?
I've done a fair amount of acting and stuff like that, but when the opportunity came up, when she picked him, of course, it was offered to Steve Martin. He passed, and so the internet was like, what about this doughy white guy? What about this doughy white guy? And so I was one of the guys that was in consideration. But out of respect for SNL, which is this iconic show, I know that you don't really campaign for things like that. You're kind of respectful, let the process happen, which means I'll never get it. And so I was kind of just standing back, and then I got a call from my manager. I was shooting a movie in England, and he was like, with my agent, he was like, yeah, there is, I don't know if you know, but you're in consideration for Tim Walz, and we've told them that you occasionally will send silly videos of you pretending to be Tim Walz. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And they were like, yeah, and now they're asking for those videos. And I'm like, well, so I went back to my hotel and I kind of changed a lot and tried to do my Tim Walz impression, which is just an impression of my brother Mitch. And my brother Mitch, I grew up in the Midwest. My brother Mitch, like Governor Walz, is a sweet, sincere caring guy that, tears up watching, every, sentimental movie he's ever seen. And so that's what I submitted, and it worked out. And people are like, you do a great Tim Walz. And I'm like, I'm doing Mitch Gaffigan.
Did it concern you at all that your management is just their first inclination is to just lie to Saturday Night Live?
Well, I think they were trying any angle. So I appreciate, it's the entertainment industry, whatever makes it work.
Have you heard from Tim Walz? Did they reach out to you in any way?
I have not, but I do. I think some of the greatest compliment I've received is that the lieutenant governor, who she said that she does a pretty good Tim Walz, but she thinks that mine's better. So
it's good. You know you're going to get a call to come to one of his birthday parties or something like that.
I would be happy to do it.
Yeah. Did you go to the after party, the Saturday Night Live party?
That's what's. I mean, not only is this show bizarrely legendary, but the after party I wasn't really prepared for. I had been to it before when I was in my 20s, but. Of course, the after party starts at 1:30 in the morning because the show ends at 1.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, I'll go to that, and then I'll be home by 2:30 or whatever. I got to the party at 1:30. I swear to God, I was the first person there. I called my wife. I'm like, I think I gotta hang out a little bit so that people can come. And so then I left at 3, and I was the first person to leave. It was like
at 3
I had to do
a.m.
an Irish exit. Yeah.
Was it what you imagined? Was it like in your 20s, or was it better?
It was so amazing because there's just a lot of people hanging out at the party, and just me having an opportunity to hang out with Martin Short and John Hamm. It's just fun.
And I mean, listen, Martin Short is a great celebrity, as is John Hamm, but you were with the Pope. Maybe the biggest celebrity in the whole world, right?
He's pretty popular.
You were with a group of comedians at the Vatican.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. You were invited.
I was invited. I would have loved to have come. I was doing the show, though it was in the middle of the week, yeah.
Because, who is going to provide more help to the Catholic Church than a room full of comedians? So the Pope invited all these comedians over, not just from the U.S., from throughout the world. And we were all put in this room, and the Pope came in and gave this prepared speech in Italian or Spanish. I don't know the difference. But we were given a translation. And and so it was crazy because I'm sitting in a room with, Fallon and Colbert and Chris Rock and Birbiglia and David Sedaris. It was like a meeting of everyone that couldn't behave in church. The kid that would get kicked out of the synagogue or the mosque for not listening was in that room. It was pretty amazing.
Did you get the sense that the Pope knew who anyone was?
I don't think he did.
No.
I think his statement was pretty important about the value of humor, which, as funny people, we think it is important. But when I went up there, I didn't think he knew who
you brought your you brought your whole family? You just brought your one son?
And so my wife, who is a Shiite Catholic, gave each of my sons, my 2 youngest sons were there, and so they went up and had their rosaries blessed, and then they gave us access to the Vatican to walk around. And of course, my 2 younger sons, they're like boys. They're like orangutans. You turn around and they're just running down a hallway, and I'm like, I think they're going to be killed by the Swiss guards. It was, little boys.
What a place to misbehave.
Yeah, they don't care that it's,
no,
pretty.
Not at all. Not
like,
at all.
this would be cool to yell in this hallway.
Yeah. And you can't yell or
you can't hit your kids in the Vatican.
No, you can't.
I guess.
I've always said that.
Yes.
Jim Gaffigan is here. His special is called The Skinny. It premieres tomorrow on Hulu. We'll be right back. The great Jim Gaffigan, who's got a comedy special called The Skinny. It premieres tomorrow on Hulu. You're on tour right now, maybe working on your next one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You perform on New Year's Eve. You're doing a show in Florida.
I do.
And is that fun to do a show on New Year's Eve?
Well, I'm doing a show in Tampa, and I did a New Year's Eve show in Tampa a couple years ago. And if you do it at the right time, so it's a 7 o'clock show, so it means the people that come to the show And, you know, so the people that want to go out and make mistakes, go out and make mistakes after the show. And the people that want to go home and avoid the people that are going to make mistakes so everyone has a good time. But yeah, as long as you do it early enough. Because
You don't want to be on stage when the clock strikes midnight.
I've done that many times. And they can't pay you enough to do it.
What was your first acting role?
My first acting role, oh my gosh, I did this Moviefone commercial. And
For those who are too young, explain what Moviefone is. And phones also, yeah.
Yeah. There used to be a thing called a landline, where it was actually cutting-edge technology where you would dial a number and it would tell you what movies were playing based on your zip code. I believe you'd type in your zip code, so it would run through on Moviefone, press
And that
1.
guy had that voice,
Yeah. And I think it was a bit on Seinfeld even. And so I was working in advertising as a copywriter, and I was doing stand-up at night, and I had met a friend who had a commercial agent, and I said, you know, I would love to audition. He goes, well, maybe I'll send you out. So he sent me an audition. It was in the middle of the workday, and I left at like lunch, and I went to the audition, and I ended up getting the job.
And you auditioned for this thing, and then this was a commercial that was shown not on TV, but in the movies.
Yes.
In the theater.
Yeah, so now when we see a commercial in a movie theater, we get angry. But back then, it was like, oh, wow, this is cool, a commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, or like, that's what I like to think. But so...
When's the last time you saw that commercial?
I don't know, 20 years maybe.
Did you go to the theater to see it?
When it came out, I went to the theater, and then they played it, which was so exciting. It was during the day, and there was like two random guys. It was like, you know, maybe 8 people in the whole theater, and I was like, did you see that? And they were like, yeah, was that you? And I was like, yeah, it was me. And they were like, good job. And I was like, it was kind of pathetic, but it was amazing. So my first acting job I auditioned for, and after that, I've never gotten another job.
That's not true, but what is true is that we did find your Moviefone commercial.
Oh my God.
And so now let's dial the clock back to what it was, 1992 or something like that?
I don't know, 1892.
1892, and here's Jim Gaffigan's first role as an actor.
It was right here. There was a movie theater right here, just last week. The marquee was right there, the blinking lights everywhere.
Don't miss the movie. Call Moviefone, the one call to make for theaters and show times.
Box office was right there. Or was it over there?
I 100% remember that commercial. Absolutely. I do remember.
It was one of those things where I was like, looks like I'm set. I've been in the Moviefone commercial.
The original Nicole Kidman, everybody. Jim Gaffigan. The Skinny premieres tomorrow on Hulu. We'll be back with Jason Kelsey.